All right, so we're going to show you a kettlebell home exercise program that you can perform if you're having any sort of shoulder pain, or you've been diagnosed with what is called scapular dyskinesis, or if you're just an overhead throwing athlete who needs conditioning. So this is going to help you to work your scapular stabilizer muscles, which is important to provide a stable foundation for your shoulder joint to work. All right, so we're going to start lying in hook lying, as you can see, and bringing the kettlebell in a bottoms up position straight overhead. This is going to be a 30-second armbar hold, and the keys that you want to think about are packing your shoulder down away from the ears, down and into the socket, and keeping your elbow straight and your thumb positioned up, pointed up towards your forehead the whole time. So palms facing in. You're going to squeeze that kettlebell as hard as you can to turn on those rotator cuff muscles, and then you're going to hold with your neutral spine and your ribs down. All right, so that's the first one. The second one is going to be similar, but you're going to go ahead and take your feet together so they're touching. Starting with the kettlebell overhead in an armbar position, you're going to rotate the knees to the opposite direction of the side holding the kettlebell 10 times. So you're going to perform 10 repetitions on each side for this. You can do about 2 sets of 10, whereas for the basic holds you could do 2 sets of 30 seconds. All right, so the next one is going to be kettlebell sky punches. You're going to come again into a bottoms up kettlebell position, thinking shoulders down away from your ears, ribs down towards your pelvis, and you're going to keeping your elbows straight the whole time. You're going to punch the kettlebell up towards the ceiling. Think of wrapping your shoulder blade up and around your rib cage to move the kettlebell closer up to the ceiling. And then you can perform this for 10 reps. Think about squeezing, gripping that kettlebell the whole time, palms facing in. Nice. So the next one is going to be a kettlebell bench press. This is going to be in bottoms up position again. And starting with your elbow bent, your arm down by your side, you're going to press up and straighten your elbow, moving the kettlebell towards the ceiling, and then perform 10 reps of that. Same idea, we're keeping our palms facing in and we're squeezing the kettlebell with a strong grip throughout. All right, so now we're going to move on to the progressions in different positions. This is the side lying progression. So you're going to start with side lying kettlebell holds in the bottoms up position with your knees bent. That's going to give you a little bit more stability. Before you start, you want to set up with that bottom arm raised overhead, and you want to get a vertical hip stack. So you're going to get a sliver of daylight under those bottom side abdominals. And then you want to think of pulling your ribs down towards your pelvis to prevent any rib flare. You'll hold for 30 seconds with your thumbs pointing up towards your forehead and your eyes on the kettlebell the whole time. All right, so now we'll show you the progression into side lying, legs straight. So this is advanced, and you want to make sure that you've mastered a stable position with minimal kettlebell movement in the side lying position with the knees bent first before you move into the knees straight version. With the knees straight, it's a little more challenging. You really have to think about keeping your rib flare under control by tucking your ribs down just like that towards your pelvis, and then get that sliver of daylight under your bottom side abdominals for a vertical hip stack. You want your hips perpendicular to the floor, and then you're going to hold for 30 seconds with your eyes on the kettlebell the whole time. Make sure that your hip is in neutral and you're not flexed at the hip as well. All right, so the final integration of the supine and side lying versions would be doing a roll from supine to side lying. And we'll show you the roll into side lying with knees bent first. So here you start supine, you've got that, which is going to be on your back. You got your bottoms up kettlebell, and you're going to roll as one unit, just like that. You want your hips to travel in the same line as your abdominals So really think about turning your abdominals on to tuck your ribs in and control that momentum of the hip. Make sure that you end with your whole trunk and your hips vertical towards the ceiling and perpendicular to the floor without any sort of sway forwards or backwards. All right, the final progression of that would be a roll to side lying with straight legs. Again, same cues, keep your ribs down, move your hips as one unit, and control that end of the motion without momentum. All right, I hope this is helpful and that you can use this for all you throwing athletes out there or anybody who's having any shoulder pain.